Watchers and crawlers. Lots of them. Use headshot weapons and rifles to keep your distance. That's basically how you do it. But I'll show you the whole thing anyway. Welcome, I am RC and this is episode 1, chapter 3, the challenge from Spartan Ops on Legendary Solo. There's the loadout I've picked for this one. Light rifle, magnum, regen field, ammo.
Spartans, you're being deployed to a pair of identical structures located north of primary.
One of the things I probably should have done is pick the firepower perk and then picked both a light rifle and a DMR. I hadn't actually unlocked it by the time I did this one, I don't think. That would have given me a bit more ammo.
That should be an exciting new experience for you.
The reason I'm picking the light rifle as my primary weapon is that there are light rifle ammos on this map. That guy's a binary rifle, be very wary about him. He can kill you literally right off spawn. The rest of them are just sort of normal bolt shot and suppressor ones, don't have to worry too much about them. Just using my pistol to conserve a bit of ammo on my light rifle. Again, probably should have taken firepower. Take out watchers with extreme prejudice. They're responsible for most of the reinforcements of crawlers on this level. If you're in cooperative with a few players, you can take out the watchers pretty quickly and you won't have to deal with very many crawlers at all. On your own, it's actually a lot tougher. Got the regen field so I can just duck behind cover and get my shields back whenever I need.
Commander, Majestic and Crimson comm signals are back.
So that was the first objective.
Now then, let the games begin.
Marking first targets for each team, Commander.
Show me what you've got, Spartans.
There are a couple of additional objectives you have to hit. One to either side of the map, then one on the very top of the map. Then you have to run circles around and go to stupid places and get enemies dropped on your head. That's the funnest part of the mission, obviously. Be pretty wary as you approach these objectives, as there will be these portals with these watchers coming in. Take out the watchers as fast as you can, if you can. If not, you're going to have to back up and probably deal with some more crawlers. And bear in mind that there's another batch of watchers that'll come in. You can hear it just off in the background there. There you are. Picked up the incineration cannon, but it actually isn't very useful on this mission. There's not really big congregations of crawlers particularly close together. And your biggest issue really are the watchers, since they're the spawners for the crawlers. See, there's one of the ammo dumps for the light rifle. Oops. I unfortunately have not killed that watcher quick enough to avoid spawning that turret. Should be some more ammo on here. Here we go. Also some scatter shot and suppressor if you feel like those. Wouldn't recommend the suppressor ever. But the scatter shot can be useful in a pinch when they're getting pretty close to you. So objective number 1. Then I was running over here because I was expecting some enemies to come in, but I'd forgotten they don't. Another portal is going to spawn in the middle here above you. About there. There we go. Again, more watchers. Extreme prejudice. There we go. That's the tactic I like doing with the regen. Duck into a little bit of cover, pop the regen, get shields back, keep fighting. This mission is called the Challenge because apparently you and Majestic squad the most majestical Spartans, apparently having a little challenge because you've both been deployed to areas that look exactly the same.
Be aware that there are watchers in the area.
And if you remember from the campaign, there are actually areas inside the core of the planet that look pretty much like this.
Crimson, watch out. Another turret coming online.
So apparently the Forerunners like repeating their architecture a lot more on Requiem than they do on the Halo rings. Maybe it was whoever designed the library that also designed Requiem. Fortunately, the stream is pretty constant of all these watches coming in. And they're so scaredy cat, and they've got, I think, like mini shields on them. Extremely annoying watches, I find. Remember, with the light rifle, if you zoom in, it actually has slightly higher damage than the 3 shots combined when you're unzoomed, which is like more like a burst. Whoop. That guy was a binary rifle. I think that one as well. Very careful.
Haven't heard from you in a while, DeMarco.
What I find absolutely hilarious that because of the plotline of this level, that even if you're on your own on Legendary, you as a solo Spartan are still always quicker than the entirety of Majestic squad,
Third target.
which is what, 5 Spartans? I don't want to say Majestic is the worst Spartan squad, since obviously Castle Team gets themselves killed pretty soon after this, but I don't think they're the best either.
Second tower down, Commander.
Crimson's way ahead of you, DeMarco.
We'll catch up, Commander.
Again, in co-op you can probably send a person up here to the top level before you've actually hit that second objective, and then you'll be able to activate that trigger before having to fight through all this. Whoa, that guy is also a binary rifle 1. The difference between the 3 types of crawlers is pretty subtle, but it is there. The most basic ones are just very plain, they've just got grey backs, and those are the ones with bolt shots. And unlike the Watchers, which can actually use the charge up shot on you, the crawlers with bolt shots don't, they just use the single shots. The second type of crawler has spikes on its back. And those are the type that use the suppressor. The final type of crawler is the one that used the binary rifle, and they have these sort of curved horns on their upper back. And that's pretty hard to tell from a distance, which makes them all the more deadly.
Crimson, there's your next target.
Fortunately, in Spartan Ops, because all the enemies are so packed close together and all the triggers are all sort of on top of each other, you don't really have much room to just sort of get to the triggers and get on with your life. In most of the missions, you do have to just sort of slug through a whole bunch of enemies, which actually makes them take quite a fair amount of time because you have to spend most of it fighting. Now they're asking you to go down to this objective, but don't just rush for it because there's going to be more enemies that are dropping as soon as you hit the trigger. And there are a few crawlers with binary rifles right next to it, as you can see. Binary rifles are actually pretty useful for taking out the Watchers because it'll take them out in just one shot, if you can actually hit it. Sometimes they break apart while they're getting shot, and your shot will actually pass through what would ordinarily be their body. So as soon as you hit this trigger, run off to one of the sides. or back.
Pilot in transport. You need to secure that location before your ride out can land. There's still some Prometheans left to clear out.
See the dots behind me of all the more crawlers that's spawning. And I'm going to make my way back up to the top of the structure, I think, as there are even more Prometheans coming in. There we go. I was a little lax in picking up the binary rifle early in the mission. You should probably not be. Learn from my mistakes. And again, since the Watchers spawn in most of the crawlers, that'll help you keep the enemy numbers down as much as you can. And then obviously they bring you in some new toys in the form of rocket launchers, which is probably one of the most useless examples of weapons they could give you. Just some DMRs would be pretty helpful, or some sniper rifles would also be pretty helpful. On heroic, a couple of shots with a sniper rifle will take out a Watcher. On legendary, unfortunately, it takes 2 shots. Again, the binary rifle is obviously preferable if you can get your hands on it, but ammo is pretty limited. And there are some more binary rifle crawlers that will be running around on the ground at this stage. So be very careful, just peek around edges, don't expose yourself too much, because they can charge up and shoot you and kill you without much warning at all. You're starting to feel like you're running low on ammo. There's obviously this big ammo dump to the right of the ramp, which I've actually expended. Just picking up a bolt shot. Feel like I'm going to run out of light rifle pretty soon. This is why I should have taken the firepower perk and brought an extra DMR. Probably wouldn't have run out so much. And again, one of the most difficult things about what I'm doing is I'm doing it without deaths on solo. Again, if you die, you can just respawn with whatever you want, full upgrade of ammo. No penalty as far as the game is concerned. But I'm trying to show you something that's sort of a bit higher level, takes a bit more tactics, a bit more skill, a bit more perseverance. Just down to the last few enemies here. We're just using a bolt shot. It's a headshot weapon, so one shot will take out a crawl all the same. Just a little bit more tricky to use. There's no zoom like the pistol has. Some of these crawlers are running around without tags on their heads, which is very helpful of Dalton or Miller or whoever's in charge of doing those designations. Oh, that guy was actually a binary rifle one. Should have kept his distance. I benefited from his mistake. So, that's about it. Pelican inbound.
Nice work down there, Crimson. Maybe next time, eh, Majestic?
My time for this ends up being 13 minutes 34 seconds, if you're interested. Again, should have been more proactive about getting binary rifles, trying to take out the Watchers. Should have taken firepower perk, so I had a bit more rifle ammo. So there you go, hope you enjoyed. This was the challenge, episode 1, chapter 3 of Spartan Ops. On the left you'll have a link to the previous episode, and on the right you'll have a link to the next episode, Sacred. So I'll see you then.